What is communism more specifically? Well, despite something that looks very good on paper, and well, there are a lot of people who support such an idea, communism in the end is nothing else but a apex of narcissism. It is in the end that force which is supposed, or let's call it, it is the cancer that seeks to convince you that your immune system is the problem instead. Yes? Every time it hits, its own purpose is to make sure that everything about you is the problem instead. Your culture is the problem. Your way of thinking is the problem. Because you're not thinking like them is indeed their problem. And they make it look as if it is yours. Your emotions are the problem. Your existence is actually the problem. And it is nothing else but a system that favors the few, well, in many cases the idiots, and says that everyone must live by the same standards, by the same exact principles, which is obviously horrible because technically it induces self eradication. How? Well, because every society can only exist based on different individuals. If something would affect that society, each individual will act in a different way. If everyone ends up thinking the same way, if everyone ends up having the same beliefs, views, and things like that, the society will become somewhat feeble. Yes, because look at the woke hive minds that you have in the world. They all have the same exact weakness. You say one specific word, they all lash out. Yes, because they don't know anything about that. All they know, like, well, communists do, obviously, all they know is hide themselves behind words, and obviously everything they do is good, everything that anyone else does is bad. Yes, this is another aspect of communism. Feminism is another part of communism. And communism obviously has been designed out of Zionism, which, well, prides itself on exterminating anyone else but the group in question. So the designers are the apex of, the idea of narcissism. Everything else but them, right, is obviously to be exterminated, is obviously something that they cannot stand, and obviously something that they cannot coexist with. Similar to cancer in your physical body. When cancer becomes a physical level and starts manifesting within your own cells, obviously there is no there is no communication with that, there is no negotiation with it. It simply, well, rids itself of you, or you simply rid it yourself of it. There is no other way around. Similarly, it is with communism. The first movement of any communism movement, or well, English sounds funny, what can I say, is the obvious eradication of all elites, or technically anyone who can help the masses or help the others wake up to the reality that, well, communism is not good. Because communism, as I said, it's nothing else than the cancer that seeks to convince you that your immunity system is the problem. What do you have in this sick society of woke tendencies? Well, people who love living in crazy imagined ways and obviously can't stand anyone who wants to wake them up. Because in the end, it's not about waking people up, it's about shaking them up from that imagined reality because they make themselves incompatible with the rest. It's simply vulgar to say that everyone has to live the same. Well, you have this in uh, corporatism, yes? In the corporate world and in almost any job that you work, you're never paid for how much you produce. You're only paid for how much you stay there, yes? You're never paid for how much you work. Because if you're an idiot and spend 8 hours in there and someone else works their job and also does your job, both of you get the same money. Yes? So this is obviously, well, communism obviously favors the weak, the stupid, the retarded, the idiots, the parasites, and the such. Yes? It is nothing else but a minority driven movement that seeks to correct the majority and invent all sorts of problems that they also use as an excuse to do their own bidding, as well as a means to attack the majority, because they are incompatible with everyone else. They are too stupid to realize that every action that you take obviously will lead to reactions from the other sides. And if you piss off the majority, well, that is a problem. The only way that communism can survive and succeed is when they manage, through different means, to simply silence the majority. When the majority ends up in self negation, in self policing, that's when you get a sense of communism winning. Just like you have nowadays. You can't speak half of the words in English because they all get censored, or you can get banned just by saying that specific word. You're not allowed to speak about anything that is a problem in society, but all those problems simply exist. You have rapists going wild in society, in Europe and especially in America, which is more like the sin city of the whole world. And guess what? You're not allowed to speak anything about rapists. You're not even allowed to write that word. You're gonna get your comment deleted instantly. Yes, you're not allowed to say anything bad about stupid women, but hey, obviously they can say anything bad about you. And don't get me started on racism. Yes, racism is nothing else but, well, some people's waste of time. They just race to nowhere. That's what they think. They think that if they are of a certain type, whatever that is, it's all invented anyways, either a nationality or a color or whatever, any other concept that they can think of. Obviously, that makes them automatically superior to anyone else. That is exactly how narcissists also function by. Just because it's them, they are some kind of perfect illustrations of creation of God, and obviously they are impervious, and obviously they have to be worshipped because of the perfection that they are. Well, thankfully, only there somewhere in a figment of the mind, probably the only brain cell that they have functional. Because usually there's no such thing as putting communist and smart in the same sentence. Yes, they get very good at being devious and at manipulation, but that's technically as far as it goes. You're rarely gonna see smart communists in the world. That's more like an oxymoron, funnily speaking, with an accent on moron. Yes, there is nothing much about that. All they love is the comfort of their own ideas, the comfort of what they're saying, the comfort of how things make them feel. Yes, they are so-called emotional warriors, except they don't even understand what their emotions are. Yes, and the big problem is that they make themselves incompatible with everyone else because they become aggressive, they become noisy. Because the world can't care about some fuckers who consider themselves animals. The world can't care about some fuckers who call themselves homosexuals. If you are something, you don't even need to tell to the whole world. The world doesn't need to know your orientations or your thought processes and the such. Do your own thing in your own premises and nobody will care. But when you start acting as if that is the only belief that's necessary, well, humanity has gone through thousands of years before this through the same kind of beliefs. My religion is better than yours, my culture is better than yours, my family is better than yours, and all sorts of childish things like that. All of these only stem from a feeble mind of abandonment and, well, obviously, people refusing to take responsibility of their own life, of how to use their energies and the such. Yes? So, in the end, communism seeks to make everyone feeble, to make everyone think the same, act the same, so that they collectively can be ruled much easier. And in the end, killed, because that's what communism is all about, a full scale genocide. Even the truth is speaking in your face. Yes, the European Union is fully communist. It's telling you all sorts of things. But yet again, they are too stupid for this world, and unfortunately, people are too comfortable and or too stupid to realize that as well. When the EU is telling you that, hey, they want zero carbon emissions, that's a fancy way of saying that they don't want any life left on this planet. Because if you get no more carbon emissions in the world, guess what? The whole life goes to them. Yes, the whole life goes poof. That includes you. Yes. So they somehow have this impression that if they hide in some underground bunkers, they're gonna survive. Well, you're gonna survive for a while, but not forever. Yes. So the very simple point is they're telling you that they want to kill you. Yes. They're telling you that the European Union only values the Jews and the Talmudic principles, which mean exterminating anyone else that's not a Jew. Yes. So they're telling you yet again that they want a genocide on you, but feel free to keep dreaming. And what else do they say? Well, they were stupid enough to invent a cure for a disease, which, whether it was engineered or not, I'm not gonna bother myself with that, but they kind of engineered the cure a bit too fast, because barely has the problem appeared, they already had the solution. Isn't that a bit of a problem though? Because usually you don't get good narcissists, you usually get stupid narcissists. They get very devious and convincing when it comes to speaking to the masses, but usually they're kind of dumb and such. When you look at the quality of people that rule the European Union and, well, the world in general, you kind of see the tendency. There's a big circus going around, and day by day, you kind of get this impression that, hey, guess what? The theater is actually getting bigger. Initially you would think that only Trump was the biggest problem, the biggest maniac. Then you have Netanyahu, and then you have other people, and then other countries joining in. It's like, bro, what the fuck is going on? It's like that moment in, I don't know what kind of Arab country where that something happened and 250-ish people escaped from a mental asylum. And the medics and the authorities were all like, bro, this is a big problem. We need to bring them back. And one of the medical staff in there, one of the people in there, came up with an idea. He said, no, wait, I'm going to bring everyone back. I'm not sure what country it was. I'm not sure if it was even Arab country or whatever, but I don't know. So that medic gets a few of his people, helpers, whatever, and they start moving through the town and they start imitating a train. And they go around the city. I don't know what pathing they have, and when they return to the hospital, they actually had 650 patients. It's like, broski, they kind of were busy. From 250, they became 650. It's like, okay, this is how the whole world actually feels like. It's like, broski, there's some idiots, there's some bozos out in there, but that it feels only like the initial wave, because the next wave that's coming is like, oh, if you are not surprised by how idiotic people can be, it's like, wait until the next piece of news. Wait until the next piece of idiots who come online and speak without any shame or guilt about things that they're doing. It's like, broski, we're assisting probably the best carnival ever. Let's actually call it theater, because carnival has an occult meaning, which means, well, flesh for Baal, aka sacrifices. Yes, human flesh sacrifices. But that's for another video. So communism in the end is nothing else but the derailing of narcissism. When it reaches its apex, there is no going back. And then it becomes fully offensive. There is no turning back. It is them against the whole world, because just because you exist, you are a problem. They are in full pains. They hate everything, their past, their existence, their life, and obviously life in general. So definitely you being alive is a sin for them. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferenc Board signing out.